Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry.
Today's episode is Installation and Operation Guidelines. Why they're important. Let's get into it. Hey Randy, how you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you today?
I am fantastic. But man, I really appreciate you being here, Randy, and I do appreciate the topic that we're going to go through today, installation and operation guidelines and why they're important. So many times it kind of gets thrown out. I know we train a lot of people here, and you're one of the main guys that people lean on over on that sales and service team because of the amount of knowledge you have. And a lot of that knowledge comes from just the amount of time you've spent in owner and operator manuals.
Absolutely. It's a resource for every product that a manufacturer makes of the correct operation of their product. And they're going to differ. Each manufacturer is going to be a little bit different. Each product's going to be a little bit different, Mike. So it's definitely a good recording today just to kind of touch on the importance of a product manual.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things where you really go, ugh, when you look at those manuals. And, sometimes we talk with manufacturers and they even look at them and go, ugh.
Yes.
Because of the amount of stuff that has to go into them, and then organizing them can be a real pain at times as well. But it's one of the things we really strive to be excellent at. Matter of fact, we have manufacturers come in and train, and they're always shocked. They look at us like, I'm shocked, you guys, we're walking through the manual and they're into it. I'm like, yeah, we live in those manuals.
Absolutely.
A lot of important reasons we live in those manuals. And Randy, I know you had put an entire list together of why these things were important. So let's dive into that, man, and let's start talking through the importance of these things.
No, absolutely. So the quick list is, safety. We preach about safety. We want to make sure that all of our clients and, everybody is safe with these installations when they're doing them. And that manual is going to provide all that information to make sure that these products are installed in a safe operating manner. And then just kind of jumping forward, the next step is, the units themselves are, no matter what you're buying, whether it's a fire pit, fireplace, gas, electric, their products are tested to meet a certain specification based on the installation. And Mike, just to kind of give a simple example, a direct vent gas fireplace, they have specific requirements for the venting. They're going to call out very specific manufacturers approved venting that you can use for the product.
Yeah.
And that's outside of how it has to be installed. So it's things like that you're going to find. And that's how the product is tested. So that's why it's so important to follow, a manual. And I know I'm guilty of it before. I see a manual, I'm doing something, I kick it to the side. Oh my God, I don't need that thing. And then 3 hours later, I'm looking at it going, man, this just doesn't look right. And then I got to go to the manual like, oh, you dummy, you did it wrong. Now you got to go back and spend an hour and a half fixing what was incorrect.
You know what? I'm working on a project right now, and I literally looked at my son and said, slow down, son. And he kind of looked at me like, I thought we really wanted to get this done. And I'm like, no, we do. We do. That's why I'm telling you to slow down. I'm speaking from experience. As fast as you're going, we're going to spend more time fixing than if we just slow down, right? One of the other things, Randy, that I look at is when it comes to that product testing, I've learned a ton about, media and media placement on burners and things of that nature that are so valuable. Well, the customer thinks they can just, I can just do this. Well, hold on, let's check the manual because there are certain issues that may arise if we don't follow what the manual states can be done when it comes to, media and things of that nature, or install, or how the electricals run, or there's so many little pieces of information in there that are valuable.
Oh, absolutely, because they are tested. They're going to be tested with a certain product. You mentioned media. Media is like if you're buying a gas fireplace, you may have the option of a log set or fire glass in that fireplace, but it's not a combination of both. The burners are going to be allocated for the type of media that's going to go into it. So you just can't mix and match things inside of that particular fireplace. And we're talking about a fireplace manual, but those are the important things as far as like when you're getting into like the operation and things that go inside of it and how these things are going to work. Well, those manuals are going to guide you there. We get those questions all the time. Folks have a specific style of fireplace and they're looking to buy a product from us that we cannot unfortunately sell them because it doesn't meet the requirement based on what they're trying to do. So it is important. Those things are tested for a reason.
Yeah.
Pretty much every manual you see, typically the first few pages are just glittered with warning signs about different things. Yeah, some of them might even be longer, but they're important, and just kind of moving down through some of the bullet points. And I know it's simple, but it's, a lot of these manuals are going to let you know what's included with the product when it arrives. And we kind of touched it on already, but, warnings that, not all appliances are the same. Especially if you're working with a general contractor and you're doing the installation, you and or that contractor may have installed a fireplace in a different residence or commercial property, and the product that you have is completely different.
Right.
Well, we want to make sure that everybody understands that going to that manual is real important because not all fireplaces are the same. They're not going to be installed the same way. Their clearances may be different. So that's where this manual is important. Framing dimensions, clearance to combustibles, just understanding that right away that they could and probably will be different. It could be something as simple as the gas pressure.
Right.
The allocation of the fireplace.
Yep.
It could be something for the gas. So all of the gas requirements, the pressure requirements, Mike.
Yeah.
Those are going to be in that manual as well. So it's things like that are typically in the front end, of your manuals, getting through them. And I know that some of these manuals are 20, 30, 40 pages, but they're 20, 30, 40 pages for a reason. There's a lot of information there.
You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast.
You really get good at it if you're, for our pros out there. We train on how to read manuals here at Woodland all the time. So you need help. You're looking for a particular product. We can guide you through it and base it on, these types of things that you're looking for, particular requirements. But usually, Randy, inside of that manual, there are a handful of pages that are the most valuable for you as a tech. You're one of our technical sales reps. So as that tech, I'm going to find these things on those pages. So the more time you spend in them, the more you understand what you're looking for, and it's easier to find.
Absolutely. You're going to go through a manual. There's a lot of pages that, what's nice about if you keep it on your computer and if you know how to search, there's a lot of searches. You can search the gas pressure, you can search venting installation, the clearance to combustibles, and get into those types of things right away. The framing dimensions are obviously going to be important for the contractor. In most cases, I'll say if you download like the PDFs, you can search those within your search engine, on your computer itself and find that stuff relatively quickly. Not everybody's going to print a 30-page manual, but the manuals come with the products as well. So there's a lot of times, a lot of my contractors they'll do a search on their computers, kind of find out what pages a lot of that information is for their installation, and then maybe highlight it in the actual manual itself when they're in the field, so it's easy for their guys to find. Yeah, so there definitely is ways to find the information, and the information is there. And that's kind of the importance of this podcast today is the information for the installation is in the manual. And yes, I know you have to look for it because there are proper steps to follow based on the installation. And it kind of goes back to the example where I talked about somebody that may have done a fireplace with a certain stone or granite facing. That fireplace may have needed to be installed a little bit differently than your job. So those are going to be important ways because there could be 2-3 different installation methods and proper steps that need to be followed to make sure that it's going to be done the way you want it to look when it's finished. And you're doing something right now with your home, doing a flat marble versus doing like a dry stack stone. That installation may be a little bit different on the look you want.
Even just looking through the manual, my son was actually looking through the manual, and I was coming up with a plan for the ledger stone, to have when you go above the fireplace to be able to have something flat to set it on until it sets. And he looks at me and he goes, "Dad, in the manual, it suggests instead of using 1/2-inch hardy board, use 1/4-inch hardy board, and you can use the top of the black lip that's made for the sheetrock to come down to, you can use that as your ledge basically to set your ledger stone on. And I'm like, dude, the value of reading the manual.
Absolutely, exactly. And then, moving through the manual after you get through all the installation, the proper steps, and then you get into the operation of it. Your contractor operating the fireplace, maybe your gas plumber, your electrician, and they get into the operation so that they get all of their connections correct, getting that thing fired up and making sure that it operates properly. And then the operation is going to have proper steps to operate the appliance, whatever that appliance might be, Mike.
Right. No, that's good stuff. That's real good. And there are particular areas inside the manual for you to look. And I don't want to get into a how to read the manual lesson because we actually do those lessons here. I do want to throw out there, if you are looking for something particular and you bought a product from us or you want to buy a product from us, we can help you get through that manual. That's what we specialize in doing. And really help expedite some of those. That's how I work, Randy. I work from the side of I need the manual to get me from point A to point B, but I really work in an environment where I go, man, I would prefer to reach out to somebody who's done this before and verbally work through what's going on. That's the style of learner I am. And I've got a ton of background in that. With my master's degree. So I know who I am and what I need to do.
I hear you. I'm a doer as well. Reading the manual is like nails on a chalkboard sometimes, when I'm trying to do my own installation of something here at the house. I work through it because I know the importance of it and I don't want to have to redo something. It's always, measure twice, cut once type of thing, or sometimes measure 3 times and cut once. So each manufacturer is always going to have some type of troubleshooting guide in there for those installers, whether it's the gas, the electrician, or the GC.
Yep.
If for some reason a product is not working when it's been installed correctly, following all the steps, there's that troubleshooting guide.
Exactly.
And then the most important part of somebody's product, a lot of times we want to make sure that it's not only installed correctly, but that warranty from the manufacturer. That warranty is based on that product being installed following the guidelines and those steps in the manual. In almost every manual you read, there is like a big bullet point in the very front. It says, before installing this product, read and follow all of the warning notices in the instructions that are provided. Failure to do so may result in some type of injury.
Correct.
Property damage. And then they go to the extreme of, they say death. I mean, it unfortunately, it's a lot in there and they have to put it in there because that is how important these things are, Mike.
That's super valuable, Randy. For some folks, number one, it's difficult when a contractor calls in and says, hey, isn't this under warranty? We walk through the process with them of troubleshooting and going through everything. And if we find that it hasn't been installed based on the manufacturer's suggested installation, it won't be covered under warranty. And that's where for us, we're always working hard for our clients, for our customers. So we try to find solutions in those scenarios. But that's why we feel it's of more value, greater value, to help educate so that you don't find yourself in that scenario where, okay, I'm not going to be inside a warranty because something was done wrong. To the extreme, like you said, of injury or even death. That's how serious these things are. And it's amazing, Randy. You stop and talk to these manufacturers when they come in. I know you talk at a super high technical level with them. It's the smallest things that they test for. The majority of them will look right at you and go, I could tell you that, yeah, doing that, might not be that big a deal. But the truth is the tests are so rigorous that they won't, and they don't want to, and they just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, man, I don't want to be responsible for anyone getting hurt. And that's our stance as well.
Absolutely. We preach safety in almost every podcast about something. It is extremely important. If it's a residential property, a commercial property, there's no deviation on the safety importance there. If you have a question, if you're buying something from us, typically we're going through a lot of the information on the front end, but if there's something that we missed in a conversation with one of our guys, reach out, let's get those answers to you, but keep those manuals. Another thing I'd like to point out too is not only, kind of going back to the warranty is always make sure with the manual, you keep the manual, pull your models and serial numbers off of your unit before it gets installed, write those on your manuals. a couple years down the road, if something maybe you having some pilot issues, anything that could be indoor, outdoor, we're going to ask for the serial numbers for your product. We're going to ask the model number, for the product itself. Even though we may have it, we want to confirm that it's matching. But it's important because we will need that to help you with your warranty on your unit.
And that's a great point, Randy, because most people look at it and they go, it's fireplace, a fireplace is a fireplace. That's like saying a car is a car is a car. When you call into the dealership, they'll ask you what year, what make, model, VIN. I want to know every detail because every year they make it a little different. Maybe they've got a new manufacturer for, the flux capacitor. And so it's a different flux capacitor in my vehicle than is in yours. And they need to know that information. And that's the value of having that written down, means you don't have to get a flashlight out. And like everything, there's going to be maintenance that needs to happen. So the easier you have that at hand, the better off it's going to be.
Good point, Mike, because I missed that on my sheet. That's a great point. Maintenance. So aside from the operation troubleshooting, in that area of your manual typically is going to show your maintenance, and maintenance is going to be different based on the product. There might be monthly, there might be yearly maintenance on your particular product that you have. That information is valuable as well. You want to make sure that you follow those guidelines as well.
Absolutely. No, that's good. That's good. Well, Randy, I think we've gone through quite a bit here. Is there anything else you can think of on your side?
No, I think I'm good. I think I may have entertained people on their manuals enough for the day.
Well, as always, we're so thankful for our listeners out there. If you guys have any comments, questions, anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, or something you'd like to correct us on, that is perfectly okay. Give us a shout at all the different ways that you can get a hold of us, and we'll be sure and get that out to our listeners. And then, Randy, as always, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you and you being here and taking the time to do this, man.
Oh, man, I love it. Appreciate you, Mike. You have a great day, sir.
You do the same, brother.
All right, buddy.
Join us next time for How to Extend Your Patio Season. We'll see you then.